Hey, beautiful ignited souls. We are getting ignited with the number 13. Of course, we have 13 as the death number. And yes, it does have an association with death, but where there is death, there is also light or life. So let's begin. Of course, to explore the day's vibration, the 13th of the first month, January 2020. Now, we do this just to really help you get a clearer understanding about the numerical vibrations or energy or how they may feel. You may have an experience and you may be able to associate the numbers or the energy with that number and see how it showed up in your life. Get to understand the numerical vibrations. So that's what we're about. I'm actually really liking this. This is a little purple. Well, it's supposed to be blue, but this is looking good. Let's get ignited. Of course, to get ignited, it's about tea time. Of course, we're breaking the law of silence with having tea, although I have water here today. Mhm. But water tea, of course, it's the same. It's good. Okay. So here we are going to, oh, I like my word commitment, of course. I did say I was going to choose like a word for the day and implement it in this, but I'm going as we are guided to do. Now, okay, so we are going to do a little exercise on the number 13. But first of all, let's look at the day. So what I have done is actually skipped the 12th of the first 2022. And so this permits me, and going by how I'm spiritually guided, it's as if that is going to be the seed, of course, because that's the number 12 is really another number of power, we could say. So it's like I'm planting. Okay, so here we are being transparent. And so you will be able to actually get the opportunity to see this or capture this vibration, for instance, at the start of the day or throughout the day. And so it's not like the day after the date has actually appeared. But it doesn't really matter as much whether you got this maybe even in the next year, because we are talking about tapping into numerical vibrations or frequency. And of course, spirit is working through you as well. Nothing happens by chance, people. Nothing at all. Not even this what we are doing here right now on the Earth ship. You know what I mean about Earth ship? Of course, united souls. Time for a tea break. Hmm. Oh, and I love the smell of copper as well. Okay, copper, capture a copper. Okay, the thing is, here in Britain, we don't give much thought. I don't think, well, I hadn't anyway, given much thought to the English language in, a cup of tea, because copper actually captures. Let's have a cup of tea. You're actually getting that vibration. It's like, capturing. Okay, that's why the cups are called copper cups. Okay, so here we are. This is the sacrifice template. If you're new to this, of course, the word new appears here. We have been divinely guided to have this assimilation, if you like, or we put these, of course, they still have the same numerical vibration as JAS. Normally, you begin with A, B, C, D, and so on. But of course, this is what wisdom is about. And if you really watch like my latest video, which I think it's about wisdom and change, that, that's what it's about. It's more or less telling you to change wisdom. This is what, or showing you how. Oh, okay. Let's put this one at a far end where we don't reach it again. So let's look at the word change, for instance. CHSA. What's that about? Okay, change, which is 3 8 1 5 7 5. So this is 12, this is 17, this is 27, 26, 29. 2 plus 9 is 11, and that's a master number. So basically, what I didn't actually add, although I had this a lot of change and 11, but I hope people would actually say, oh, let me do the numerical value for the word change and see whether it really does come up to 11. And that is telling you about, your master's program is about changing the way you think, changing the way you do things, change. It's like when you go to the shop and you have a transaction and you have change, there is something different. You have done something differently. Okay, so it's change. That is wisdom. Wisdom is about changing, constant motion, constant movement, like the word energy, vibration, all of this equal 11. But what has that got to do with the number 13 that we are going to explore? Of course, before we do that, as I said before, let's look at the word we are going to do Thursday. Thursday. Now we've done this before, but we will keep doing this as long as we are guided to do that pattern of presentation, if you like. So this is going to give us a opportunity to understand when we hear about Thursday, is it just Thursday or does it really have a significance with the word first day? And if it's the first day, what is the first day of? Is it the first day of creation, the first day of rest, whatever it is? Okay, so let's look at the numerical value, which is 391. I just realized I'm whispering 417. Okay, so this is 812, 22, 25, 30. Okay, so 30 is actually 3. And Thursday, of course, I have to double check again whether I got this right. But I know, okay, Thursday is 35. It should be 35. Now, oh, this is what that reminds me that 35 is actually the gift of the 26 letters plus the 9 numbers of language. This is what we do all our language. Can you imagine? This is what millions of books are written from, these 26 letters and 9 numbers. This is what is used. So that also tells me or reminds us that this is you. So 26 or 35. In fact, 26 is actually 8 as well, but this would be 9. Adding this gives us 17. And I hope I'm not going too fast. Please let me know how you are resonating with this. If this is going at your pace, are you getting it? Would you like some more clarity? Or if there is something else you think is more beneficial for us as we go on this path now, I'm open to ideas. Okay, so while I say that, remember, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, like, and share the videos, of course. Even if it's a little bit of what you like. Give us that like. Okay, so this is actually 9 at so 9, because when I'm thinking, sometimes I'm thinking so ahead, my hand is not going as fast as my brain. So this is 17, and 1 plus 7 is 8. So just like God, God is actually 17, and 17 is 8. So Thursday is there. I'm also getting like a thirst, like when there's a thirst, THIRST, or thrust, THURST. So all of this is actually components, you could say, of the first day. The first day encompasses everything. So the first day, why do we say or conclude that number 8 is actually the first day? Well, it is easy. It's God, isn't it? It's God. Okay. But also, because we have done this and realized that 8 actually has the camouflage or has the resemblance of 2 knots. And of course, when we do naught plus naught, we see naught. So this is a knot. It's like a bow tie. I keep saying it's like a bow tie. It reminds me somehow of that. Or a knot, K-N-O-T, but there's still the N-O-T. All right. And again is the spirit of sound mind. So naught equals 13 and another naught equals 13. That gives us 26. 2 plus 6 is 8. Now, of course, this is what we call the symbol of infinity right here. And of course, we can easily do another calculation or formulation to say, okay, well, it is 8. I am just, okay, EIGHT. And of course, if we do the numerical value for this, it's 3, 1, which mirrors that naught. It's like 8 is actually, of course, like the symbol itself says, well, there are two parts, but here, like one is hidden, 3 in 1, like they would say, you know, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit all in one. Okay, we won't get too technical here, but adding this together is actually 4, which mirrors the same, which mirrors this here. So basically, 8 in these glad rags, I call it glad rags with the letters, usually shows us the all what the number or the vibration consists of. It's like it births, it's the mother. It shows us maybe there's what it is birthing at that time, but it's not to say that it is not hiding something else, because of course there is another 4. Okay, I have done this in other videos to show how that happens. Another thing we could also do is that we can actually look at 1 of 1, which equals, so for 8, which we could actually look at 1, which equals 7, and 3, THREE, equals 11, and that gives us 9. Of course, I have showed how 9 and 8 is really very much interrelated. It is like 8 is when it begins to break. It's like the child is breaking out of the womb, if you like, and at 9 months, it is 9 months, but it's like the bridge. It's like a bridge right there. So they have the same vibration, if you like. It's so the 8 is actually like you know, has a lump in and a lump out, if you like, and of course it breaks. You could say the placenta or the afterbirth is left to be dealt with 9. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope you get it. So let's look at there's 14 minutes here, which is the gods. Of course, 14, we have been doing a lot with the gods. So let's look at 13 is 4. Sorry, the number for Thursday is 8. So that is the like a seed. Now, last time I did the 11 for the 10th, this is what we get. We get the feeling of seeds and seeds on top of seeds, meaning like 8s on top of 8s. And this is what we are getting. 8 is always seeming to come into the surface in these presentations. Why is it that? It takes us back to all the stories, not just one, all of the stories in the Bible, which is about 8. They ate, E-A-T, which equals 8, or they ate. I'll have to check if tea is actually, but we know about the spices and the spice that they had, or you know, the different spice must have been for tea. Time for a tea break. But here we have, now we have turned all this round, and we could say on the last lap, we are the last of it, which TEA. So they ate they eat, and now we are in TEA, the T, and this is like the T as well, where Jesus, of course, that's another symbol of the T, which equals 2, because it has T has the numerical value of 2, which also tells us about the number 13 has a very strong correlation with 2. Again, people, this is what I meant to do as the 13th of the month, TWO. This is what we wanted to show you, and to show you how 2 or 13, you actually, whenever you're in agreement with someone, or you actually, it's like you're saying yes to something, you are actually anchoring on this vibration, because it denotes that there is a sacrifice or a death or a dying of something. It's like you shake hand, or you come to, or you're eating at a table with someone, you are agreeing, you are sharing on that, you're on that same level. So there is some agreement happening here. That's why Christ said, every time you do this, do it in remembrance of me. So there's 2, 5, 6 equals 13. And that's what 13 is all about, where Jesus, for instance, and it's no wonder there had to be 2 who died as well. So there were 13 at the table. I'm speaking of the Last Supper. And of course, no one speaks about Judas. But people, this is what it's all about. They had to be 2. This is what there was an agreement, and the seed had to be in the ground, if you like. The death equals the number death, dead or death, DEATH, equals 20, which is 2. This is another reason why 13 has a lot to do with the death number. So here we say that they had 13 people at the table, the Last Supper. Now, there is something, either the food or the wine Jesus didn't actually take off, he shared, but it said he didn't drink of it or didn't eat of it or whatever it is. But we are still showing that there were 13, and it meant that 2 people, 2, these 2 here, Jesus was crucified. Judas, we were told, hanged himself. So, of course, thinking that he would be successful with it, so we can say that, yeah, that's 2 died. That's the representation of death. So, 2 right here. And so, of course, that would mean there were 11 disciples left, and of this 11, 1 plus 1 is also 2. So we can see how the whole of this, of course, with the sadness and everything else, that meant there were 2, you could say, in another realm, and the other 2, which is the sets of the 11, had all this other, because this 11 was what was left to both newness. The word 11 actually equals 9. So these 2, there would not be a birthing of anything new if there isn't 2. So we tend to think about Jesus, the Savior, and so on. No one's talking about Judas, who actually played such a role. And, I think if Christians hear me say that, they might go into uproar. But this is just showing us about creation is about dark and light. And the light came out of the dark, out of the darkness, and that is showing us the balance. You could not see what's written on this board if there wasn't that contrast of what we call black and white. That's why it is used, or has been used, as though they weren't partners, or they weren't service to each other. Instead of fight, they fight each other. They think that one is better than the other, than to see that together that they can bring some kind of light to the surface, another light in both of them, in both. And that's what it was with Judas and Jesus. And that's what the number 13 actually represents. It actually represents the change in that or bringing that contrast together. But there is a process that happens. One is like the, up. It's got polarities basically. So just to keep this in tune, so we have seen about it. We know it's all about the eat of the apple, the gift to the woman gave to her husband, which was with her. Abraham, of course, slaughtered animals, whatever, had to give the angels to eat, and it's always about eating. Of course, everything. Noah, it's all about eat. Okay, EAT, and of we not forgetting Cain and Abel. All about food or sacrifice or so on, but it's form of eating. So the date, today's date is the 13th. Okay, let's see how much, because I know I just got these new, and okay, and I'm just wondering, well, why am I not getting my value from here? Okay, one and 2022. So I hope you can see this. So this is 6, this is 1, this is 4, and this is actually 11. So that tells that again, you'll see that this is a number of change, which we started. This is how we started, and I'm just doing this. I had not checked it before, and that is what we are talking about. That, oh, it's the time. So, we have seen that the number 11 has a strong correlation with number 2 here. This is the place of agreement. Overall, this is the place of agreement. There is the place where two people get together, but of course, there is an equal. Once you are equal, you are actually agreeing to perform a role. Basically, you and I would be having an agreement, but you are either on the left or the right, or up or down. And of course, we are equal in our intention or our agreement. So I hope you get this, which means that this is again 11 is like 2, and that's what Jesus, the crucifixion, is all about. 2, this is what 2 is about. It's opposite, it's left and right. And of course, this is breaking the law of silence right here. Breaking the law of silence, people. Okay. Oh, I gotta pen that right. Breaking the law of silence. So let's do this. Okay. So this is beautiful when it does right. So this is the 11. Of course, 11 has 9 and is able to birth after its kind, if you like. That's why 11, that we had 9/11, because that's how powerful it is. 11 can just birth after its kind. And so we also have that it shows us 4 points as well, which of course, like 13, which is the same correlation here, like the letter B, as the letter B. When you come into this equal sign, if you like Jesus giving to his disciples of the cup to say, and of course the word cup is actually 13. Drink of the cup, he passes the cup, or whether he's on the cross and he says, oh, something about the cup, but the word cup is very much in part of the crucifixion or Last Supper. So this is what we are talking about. Speaking of cup, and so this is coming together, having an agreement. Every time you do this, do it in remembrance of me. So they ate, and this is the equal sign right here. This is forming a bond. This is how they were able to form a bond right there, of course. And of course, the word 13 equals 9. So 9 is actually birthing after its kind, even as in breaking down the number 13. Okay, so I feel that I have given you something, I hope, to actually again showing the basket. I see this as the basket where, or bucket, where they had all that agreement. The agreement can also come into development because the number 4, when it takes that shape. So 1, if you like, of jazz, and the luck, of course, comes into 4, which is development. And we see everything came through that. So it forms a foundation for newness. We are in a new creation, people. The purpose of all this, I hope you really get it, is to help us cultivate the art of self love. That means knowing who you are. Know thyself. In fact, I did the numerical value for know thyself, and I think it is 9 plus I think it is 14. Yeah, 1 plus 4 is 5. So basically 14 is always showing up because that's the 14 gods that has brought all this to light. That's the 14 gods that have taught us about the new creation that we are in with number 8. So Thursday. So there we could look at Thursday equals 8. If we add this to, of course, 11, this gives us 10. So we are seeing that we are always being presented in this newness, a time for saying, let there be light. And there was light. So 10 is actually 12. And I am actually doing this on the 12th because what it is, I have decided I want to keep abreast with the dates. So the only way is to actually skip a date, which is the 12th. Of course, 1 plus 2, and when we do the 12 like this, before we add 1 plus 2, or we could do this, which shows us 3. But another way of doing this is doing 1, which equals 7, and 2, TWO, which equals 4. And we can see the correlation here is 7 plus 4 is also 11. So people, can you see how this is the element of 11 is so present here? It's giving us that time. It's showing us that it's a time for sowing this seed, and the seed is showing us what it can birth. It can birth this 11, but you need to come in agreement with yourself. Come in agreement with yourself to say, okay, this is a new creation, a new time. What habits am I going to break off? Because that is what this is about with the number 13, dying of something. And of course, this is what Thursday is about. It's the first day of thirsting for something new, thirsting for something great, or putting yourself in a different realm, a different mindset, a different vision, or something like this. Because, of course, like the number 8, or the symbol of 8, is like a capsule. So it means that or like a plate, it means that what you are eating from, or the template that you have been present with, you need to break of it so you can actually recreate. You can actually create, and as I say, it's like break it to make it. So this is really about our conscious development, or for our evolution. So I hope you have found something on understanding how these numbers reverberate in your life, maybe in your life path number, your date of birth somewhere, or your house number, or something, or maybe you are the 8th child of a family. Okay, some of you might think, 8? Well, yes, 8, because I come from 14. So the 14 gods. I don't think my mother knew that she was actually birthing 14 gods, or the emblem of 14 gods. And I can tell you some of us are like, yeah. So basically, I hope you get this. Please like and subscribe and share and stay ignited. And it would be good to get your views on the changes that I have made. How are they resonating? Because it's about change. even as in breaking down the number 13. Okay, so I feel that I have given you something, I hope, to actually again showing the basket. I see this as the basket where, or bucket, where they had all that agreement. The agreement can also come into development because the number 4, when it takes that shape. So 1, if you like, of jazz, and the luck, of course, comes into 4, which is development. And we see everything came through that. So it forms a foundation for newness. We are in a new creation, people. The purpose of all this, I hope you really get it, is to help us cultivate the art of self love. That means knowing who you are. Know thyself. In fact, I did the numerical value for know thyself, and I think it is 9 plus I think it is 14. Yeah, 1 plus 4 is 5. So basically 14 is always showing up because that's the 14 gods that has brought all this to light. That's the 14 gods that have taught us about the new creation that we are in with number 8. So Thursday. So there we could look at Thursday equals 8. If we add this to, of course, 11, this gives us 10. So we are saying that we are always being presented in this newness, a time for saying, let there be light. And there was light. So 10 is actually 12. And yet I am actually doing this on the 12th because what it is, I have decided I want to keep abreast with the dates. So the only way is to actually skip a date, which is the 12th. Of course, 1 plus 2, and when we do the 12 like this, before we add 1 plus 2, or we could do this, which shows us 3. But another way of doing this is doing 1, which equals 7, and 2, TWO, which equals 4. And we can see the correlation here is 7 plus 4 is also 11. So people, can you see how this is the element of 11 is so present here? It's giving us that time. It's showing us that it's a time for sowing this seed, and the seed is showing us what it can birth. It can birth this 11, but you need to come in agreement with yourself. Come in agreement with yourself to say, okay, this is a new creation, a new time. What habits am I going to break off? Because that is what this is about with the number 13, dying of something. And of course, this is what Thursday is about. It's the first day of thirsting for something new, thirsting for something great, or putting yourself in a different realm, a different mindset, a different vision, or something like this. Because, of course, like the number 8, or the symbol of 8, is like a capsule. So it means that or like a plate, it means that what you are eating from, or the template that you have been present with, you need to break of it so you can actually recreate. You can actually create, and as I say, it's like break it to make it. So this is really about our conscious development, or for our evolution. So I hope you have found something on understanding how these numbers reverberate in your life, maybe in your life path number, your date of birth somewhere, or your house number, or something, or maybe you are the 8th child of a family. Okay, some of you might think, 8? Well, yes, 8, because I come from 14. So the 14 gods. I don't think my mother knew that she was actually birthing 14 gods, or the emblem of 14 gods. And I can tell you some of us are like, yeah. So basically, I hope you get this. Please like and subscribe and share and stay ignited. And it would be good to get your views on the changes that I have made. How are they resonating? Because it's about change.